Hey guys, how's it going? It's your captain, Yeehaw Yadam, and for today's video we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to be trying a different format for this week. Usually we're doing these 20-minute testing, these super long videos of me like going very in depth with the deck. What I'm going to do this week is actually try to put 5 videos out. Holy moly, haven't done that in a while. In which I'm going to be playing a deck. I'll show you the deck before I play it. We'll play one match. I'll commentate throughout the match so you can see my thought process through it live. And then, yeah, that should be that format. So for today's video, we're going to be trying out Big Yellow, or Black and Yellow Big Mom, right? So Black and Yellow Big Mom, really interesting deck. It doesn't really gain much, right? And so a lot of these, this is very akin to Garp in my opinion, right? So Garp got the red color, which you don't really gain much off the red color. You just gain the very powerful static effect on the leader, right? So the leader, Black Yellow Big Mom, says Dawn ×2 when attacking, pay another 2. So for a total of 4 Dawn. If you're at exactly 1 life, you can trash a card from your hand to heal 1. You're exactly 1 or less, right? So you can always heal 1 at 1 or 0. That's kind of the sweet spot that you want to be in with this deck. To combo that, you basically play all the good yellow cards, the good triggers, the 2Ks, all of that fantastic yellow cards that we have available, and the powerhouses that are the 10 drop, the 7 drop, and the 8 drop, right? So we have all these big cards that we want to get to. We have a lot of combo power, one of the best 2K counters, well, a 2-cost counter in the game. And then we just play the good black blockers being Borzolino and Little Chipapa Boy. So with all that being said, let's get right into the games. Alright, so we're going to be playing against Ace. Now, every red deck, no matter the deck, wants to go first, right? And as always, even though our deck wants to go second, what we should always do is put our opponent on the weak curve. So we will go first, which, you know, even in this deck, which wants to go second, see 4-8, we still have the Pero Sparrow on turn 2, which is really darn good enough. And I know how absolutely backbreaking this card is versus Ace, so I'm going to be keeping it, even though, you know, they don't really have a lot of ways to interact with it with a singular card. I'm going to go ahead and pass my turn. There's nothing much I can do. This card will allow me to rip 2 cards out of hand, because Ace in general and Red in general just has like 40 cards in hand. They just manage to do it every single time. I do expect an Ezo. Yep, there we go. So Ezo's going to come down, and he's going to go ahead and grab a, Whitebeard Pirate type card from the top of his deck. Going to go ahead and add the Marco from OP-03. So we know that he has the Vista 5 drop. He's going to play a Buggy. Like I said, they just never drop cards to the hand. Buggy's going to go ahead and grab them. Flame Emperor. Flame Emperor is not going to really do much versus this card, and this is why this card is so good, because Flame Emperor targets an 8K. I'm going to go ahead and play a Pero Sparrow, but not before I attack, right? So you want to play your cards after you swing, so you do not trigger these effects, right? If I go ahead and swing it here and I get Jet Pistoled, I'm going to get very punished. So let's not go ahead and do that. Now, something interesting to note about this board, say this Izu's not a real card, but this Buggy, on the other hand, has a very interesting static effect that says this character cannot be KO'd when battling a / attribute character or leader. And I don't really know what Mom is. She is special. I'm sure she's special. He go ahead and dumps a Fiery Doll using Ace's ability. I'm going to go ahead and play Pero Sparrow, which is also a special character. They're all special boys in my eyes. And that will allow us to get over the Buggy. Now, if he does clear out the Pero Sparrow, we do draw a card, and we are able to then play Cracker, which is a / character, and we have to keep in mind that Cracker cannot KO Buggy. Very important. So let's see what my opponent does here. He is at 4 Dawn. 4 Dawn for the Ace deck is usually like a Jet Pistol. Marco is another important card to denote. They probably play Jozu's in the deck, but they're not going to summon it, or they can just summon a more 1-drops, right? They can play the ship. There's a couple things that he can do, right? He can also just attach Dawn and be aggressive, which is also okay. I'm going to accept as much aggression as physically possible from him. He's going to swing 5 at me. I am not going to pitch my Cracker or my 2K for this, so I will take the first 5K. Adding a Pudding here is pretty darn nice. I do get my little, Nami-like effect. He's going to go ahead and attach another 2. He has 2 Dawn available, and I wonder what those 2 Dawn are going to be for. I'm still going to take this one as well, and getting Borzolino here is really nice. Guess he's keeping it up for events in general, but I don't think those events are going to do much. I'm going to swing my 5 at the 3, and he could counter out of this, but I will then swing at it for 6. I don't know, he's going to have to give me a lot of cards here if he wants to defend this Bug, and I just don't think it's worth it in the end of the day. I could summon Cracker, I can summon Borzolino. I do have a lot of options at this point in time. And on the following turn, I do go to 7, which I don't have a crazy good 7 play, so I got to make sure that this turn I do develop as many cards as I possibly can. Probably ends up being like a Cracker Pudding. He goes ahead and defends it. Very interesting. So I will not develop the Pudding then. He actually gave me the Crossfire. That's so bizarre. Gonna go ahead and swing at the buggy for 6. And I'll just play Borzelino or Cracker again. Cracker's a little too susceptible to Jet Pistol, so it has to be Borzo, right? Even though Cracker is just in general a strong, like a very, very strong card, especially in conjunction with this. I don't think that me being susceptible to, you know, the cards that are just in his deck, the way to play this matchup, right? So playing cards that just he doesn't want to KO is where I want to be. He swings here, draws me a card. He's, you know, he has to at least swing 6 if he wants to go here. He has the Marco in hand that we're aware of. He hasn't pitched anything besides the Crossfire. We are also aware that he added the Flame Emperor. So he has Flame Emperor and Marco in his hand, and then 4 mystery cards. And honestly, those other 2 cards in his hand are not doing anything. Diddly squat, if you know what I mean. So we're in a good spot. He is also at 6 Dawn, so not necessarily a bad spot to be in as the Big Mom player. If he goes ahead and takes a slow turn here, he goes 6 at my 5. I will defend this just because having a consistent attacker is really, really, really good into this matchup. And this card will replace itself in the end of the day. So even though I gave 1 to defend it, he will eventually buy me back that 1 if you think about it, right? And that's kind of how I try to think about card advantage sometimes, or what a card can give me as I play it. Now my following turn, it's 7, then 9, which is really awkward for these two. But, you know, it really is what it is. Now this Marco is going to be a difficult card to deal with. Ooh, got another one of these boys. So I got to think about what I want to do this turn. I think the best way to think is by getting the most options. So I'm going to go ahead and play the Pudding. Pudding's going to get add me the top card, you know, because all of these are Big Mom Pirate type cards. Now I can go ahead and add the Daifuku to my hand. But man, having this 7-drop is really, really nice. The issue is my next couple turns are kind of mapped out, right? I do plan on going Iso next turn, and then Big Mom on the following. So if I do plan on doing that, do I need this this Big Mom? The only thing that makes that play completely different is if he does counter out of these cards, which I don't think he will. I think he's going to start accepting some attacks. So I'm going to go ahead and add a 2K. Oh, I can add Pudding, so I can add these two. So I'm going to go ahead and probably add the Daifuku then. Daifuku is pretty nice. I do want to have 4 Dawn available to play the Cracker. And I don't necessarily care too much about keeping up 2 for the Sovereignty. So I'm just going to go ahead and assume that I have... Right, I have 2 Dawn available to me, so I can swing 5 and a 7. So if I'm going to swing 7, it will be on the Pero Sparrow once again to play around Jet Pistol. Now Jet Pistol could KO the Borzelino, which would be horrible for me because Borzelino only has the on-KO effect on my turn. I am going to swing a 5 now. Probably should have done this in opposing orders, right? You want to swing the lows into the highs sometimes. He gives me a card, and then I will just go ahead and play the Cracker and pass my turn. Now my board is pretty formidable, even though he does have Marco. The fact that I am at 2 life will allow me to just play 1 Dawn here to trade 7 into a 6, and then I can always Iso him, right? So I want to make sure that my next turn is very, very powerful. He doesn't really get to play multiple cards a turn. He could Flame Emperor here, swing here, try facing me as the best way I can think about going at his turn. But we'll see how he decides to go ahead and do it. We do have a bit, just a little bit of combo power. And speaking of, he does do the Flame Emperor, so he is at 8. Will he go 8 at my Pero Sparrow? Will he go 8 at my leader? A pretty interesting question. Will he go 8 at my leader? Now that's kind of scary, I ain't gonna lie. Because I don't have much counter power. I think I have to save this life as much as I can. So I'm gonna go ahead and defend this. And, you know, just pass on the ball to him. And he probably goes 6 at Pero. 7 at Pero, which is fine. Takes a lot of pressure off of my board. I'm going to go ahead and add a Sovereignty. Again, not fantastic cards to grab off the top. And this is where Lin would have been a good card to add to my hand. So he has 5 in hand at this specific point in time. Since he has 5 in hand, I will just make sure to go attach 1 Dawn here. Swing at lead to make him go to 6 unless he gives me a 2K. I don't think he wants to give me a 2K. So he'd have to pitch 2 or the 2K. He takes, and that's exactly what we want. So we will go ahead and play this on him and then pass our turn. Now that went ahead and removed a Red Hawk, which I'm pretty sure he was playing, and then a Whitebeard's Pirate. So pretty solid turn to develop this card, and then now I can just acquire some advantage, right? Because he can go ahead and try to deal damage to me, but I do have a lot of 2Ks this turn, so I am at least able to stay at 1 life. And I can just Mama up, or I can Mama time. Let's see what he wants to do. He's at 9 life here. He could just drop a Whitebeard. If he does drop a Whitebeard and swing at me for 6, then I will... I will probably just challenge this Marco, then Big Mom, and pass. And that's the best way I can think of doing my next turn. This is just if he Whitebeard to me. Whitebeard, keep up 1 for Rad Beam, but let's see if we... Yeah, there's no more cards in his hand that we're aware of. These two added these 2 cards. So his hand is completely unknown to us. And let's see where this ace player wants to go. I mean, this is not a great spot for us, but we're now going to start the grind matchup. We haven't even started the grind. We're going to start it very, very soon. I think what Big Mom wants to do is establish 2 big characters, aka an 8 drop, a 7 drop, or a 10 drop, and then just go leader ability every single turn and pray to God that that's enough to win the game. Off the back of a Cracker, right? So Cracker is a card that's really going to have to get in there at the end of the game and push for two lives. 2 lives, Mom, and then the big cards. So let's see what he wants to do. Now, there's not a clean out to this card. He has to like Otama something or Crossfire something, right? But there's no clean out to this card. He plays a Buggy, which is not terrible. I mean, searchers are great. Especially you want to play cards that do not have counter. You want to play those cards, get those out of your hand so that when you do go into your defensive turns, you have the counter in your hand. And this deck just plays so many events that it's very difficult for me to believe that Buggy whips. Buggy, what a card. This card should have gotten an altar. It looks really, really cool. So he adds another Flame Emperor to his hand, which is not too impressive. I mean, he could Flame Emperor my Pudding and then go for my face, which is bizarre, but doable. Sure. That takes up the entirety of his turn. I still can counter out of it and then defeat his board and then heal. Sure. So unless he applies a good amount of pressure here, this Mom is going to go hard. So he goes 6 at my lead. He still has a bit of Dawn available now. 6 is a weird number. I guess he's seen 1 2K and decided that that's enough. Respect. I will defend the 6 just because defending the easier numbers is the best way to go, right? So when you can defend, especially when you're on these later turns, you want to be, you just want to defend, right? Because if he goes ahead and attaches just a singular Dawn here to Marco, it makes it much harder for me. So he's swinging 8, and now 8 is not a number that I really want to defend because I'd have to give him my entire hand. I don't want to do that. And now if he wants to swing at me for another 8, I do have the counter to it, and then I just... Yeah, and he chooses to do this, which is nice. Very cool of him. So he goes 8 at my leader. I mean, doing this is not terrible, but it's not great for him either. So with that, that's his turn. He just has a Flame Emperor, which is a non-card in his hand. And I'm going to just start off by going Pudding at Izo. Now he can't, very important to note, versus Ace, he cannot use his leader ability on his characters, right? So he can't pitch his event cards to save his character cards. So keep that in mind. I will go 9. And that's most certainly going to remove the Marco. He has no events up, so the Marco's going to get KO'd. He's going to use Marco's effect by pitching a card to resummon the Marco. He removes the Fire Fist. Sure, that card isn't really going to do much. I'll swing 5 at him. He can go ahead and remove a card from his hand here if he wants, like a Flame Emperor. He removes another Fire Fist, and then I'm just going to drop the 10 drop. Pass. So now we're at equivalent life, and I do just have big bodies on the board. If he taps out again, he is most certainly lost. If I hit up a Sovereignty in life, which is impossible, but he's not aware of that, then he also loses because there's no way he gets 3 attacks in this turn. Every single attack has to connect, right? But there is a universe where he plays the Ace card, the 7. But with a 7 cost, he has only 3 Dawn available, so he can go like 3, 6, 5, 7. And honestly, that might connect, but you don't do that versus a 5-hander. And yeah, I could counter out of 2 of those and counter the 2 5s, but these 2 would connect, which is fine. So let us see where this Ace player goes. I mean, he kind of does need to play the Ace if he wants to have a chance at defeating this card. Once again, we do know one of the cards in his hand is the Flame Emperor, and then now we have 3 mystery cards left. And this card is just doing nothing at this point in time. It's going to go ahead and attach 3. Wow, that is not it, Chief. That is pretty darn taxing. There goes 30% of his turn for me to drop a 1-can. Now, I mean, Daifuku isn't really doing much at this point in time. I have a very specific game plan. I mean, you can, yeah, sure, hit me for 2 checks. You got it. You got it, chef. So this card is not getting summoned. We'll draw a card. This card will get summoned because this card is a very good versus red. I'm just going to go ahead and base 9. Then I will swing 10. Use card action, drop the Big Mom to heal 1. And I doubt that he'll be able to counter out of 10, especially when you're tapped out. If you aren't able to counter out of 10, I just 15. Sure, man. So we know one of the cards... Well, he did use the Emperor, so we don't know anything that's left in his hand. But even if it was all 2Ks, right? Let's just count it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He would go to exactly 15 in that scenario. It was all 2Ks, so Big Mom should just wrap it up here. And there goes our game. I know that was quite a long one, but... that's usually how it goes versus Ace. They just take a darn too long of a time. But we were able to get it, and I hope this game really was doing a good job at showcasing what Black Yellow Big Mom can do. If you guys like this sort of type or style of content, make sure to leave a like down below. If you have any suggestions or any differences, if you like this sort of version of the way that I'm shifting the content on this channel, go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. And as always, guys, if you haven't joined the Pirate Crew and have been liking what you see, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, actually. See ya.